So getting onto the highway, we can get up to highway speeds quite easily. As you can see, you will have no problem passing someone in this Cayenne Turbo. Hey everyone, welcome to this 2013 Porsche Cayenne Turbo. This car was brought to us by First International Auto Group here in Merrimack, New Hampshire. Let's go take a look at the outside of the car before we start our drive. So here we have a second generation Porsche Cayenne Turbo. So they refer to this as the 92A. In the front we have daytime running lights, and the headlights themselves were actually inspired by the Carrera GT, hence why they are just so beautiful. On the side here you can see we have these aggressive 22-inch rims. At this very moment they are of course Porsche rims, but I can't tell you what they are from, but they are really fitting with this car and provide a very aggressive style, especially with these brake calipers. So the second generation of Cayenne Turbo actually lost about 500 pounds in weight from the previous generation, the first gen car, and of course that was due to more aluminum being added and also them removing the low-end transfer case. But so we also have these nice dual exhaust tips in the back for total, and that second generation also has this more slopey styling to it, kind of giving a more aggressive look to this SUV. So let's pop the trunk and check things out. Spare tire underneath, we have plenty of cargo space, we have some mats back here, and then of course, you know, these seats can fold down, providing more access to the cabin. Overall, plenty of practicality with this Cayenne. So getting into these back seats, we have plenty of legroom, sitting behind myself at about 5'9". I also have about 4 inches of headspace above me to this Alcantara wrapped roof. We also have endless controls to these seats. You know, we can adjust them, and they're also heated back here. And to the left of me is these Burmeister speakers that pretty much just rock the house. So along with that, and obviously these privacy shades and this gorgeous panoramic sunroof, we just have such a nice feel for these back seats, and overall very luxurious in this Cayenne Turbo. So as we make our way out of the outlets, let's talk about this powertrain. So we have a 4.8 liter turbocharged V8 that is paired to an 8-speed automatic, but the automatic is actually a Tiptronic, it's not a PDK. I can't go into why they might have chosen the Tiptronic automatic instead of the PDK, but I've heard it's still a great transmission for this car, and we can also find out for ourselves. So starting off in sport mode here, we have our Porsche Active Suspension Management set to Sport 2, 3 settings total in this car. So getting onto the highway, this car will just basically automatically put itself in a high gear, currently sitting in 8th at about 70 miles an hour. Thing rides very smooth on the highway, you really don't feel your speed, and overall it's very sound in this interior too. You know, I find myself not having to talk very loud on the highway, which is a good sign. Of course you're going to be drowning out the outside world with these Burmeister speakers, but in this given moment we don't have the media system going. So in this Cayenne Turbo, as you can see, this interior is just so nice. We have a leather wrapped dashboard, we have a Sport Chrono package in this one, and of course we have the Alcantara wrapped roof. We have basically all of our media settings right here at our disposal, and nothing of course is wrapped up in this screen that you might need. Everything you really will have to look quickly and act quickly on if you're driving is right here in this front stack. So overall I really like this steering wheel. It contours to your hand really well, and of course it's still a round steering wheel, but it has a little bit of like squareness shape to it. But of course, you know, I think Porsche just does steering wheels right. We also have paddle shifters that feel of high quality. They don't stick out from the wheel too much, and I also like that they're right at your hands instead of kind of being behind the wheel. So getting onto the highway, we can get up to highway speeds quite easily. As you can see, you will have no problem passing someone in this Cayenne Turbo. This Cayenne Turbo just of course commands the road in this jet black metallic color with these aggressive wheels and big red brake calipers. This car just has such a lovely stance to it. But what's lovely about these Porsches is that you can design them to however you want them. Of course, this car is over 10 years old, so you're not going to be speccing this one from the factory. But if you get a new Cayenne Turbo, you know, you can go for a more low profile setup. So both this Porsche Cayenne Turbo and the Panamera we drove for the channel have the PASM, so that's the Porsche Active Suspension Management. Of course, this car, as I said before, has 3 maps, one being comfort, one being normal, and the other being sport. We're currently sitting in sport. And so, yes, we have air suspension here, so, you know, with a over 10-year-old car, you always have to be mindful of, you know, making sure that suspension is working properly. But when it is just an absolute joy. This thing really absorbs all bumps and imperfections in the road, and it really just kind of feels like I'm gliding. So I'm taking the car out of sport mode now. I'm also putting it in comfort suspension, and we will just kind of see how this thing cruises. So the driver and the front passenger of this car have 18-way adjustable sport seats, and so they hug your body just as tight as you want them, while also having all the adjustability of, you know, normal, comfortable seats. And overall, these are probably one of the nicest seats I've ever sat in. It doesn't quite have the plushness of, say, like a Mercedes S-Class, but they're comfortable enough where they have really nice high quality leather. You know, you can feel it on your back. Of course, we have heated and cooled seats here in the front, and you know, you can get comfortable in this car fairly easily. As far as fuel economy goes, not all that great in this Cayenne Turbo. We get 17 miles per gallon combined, and that is rated even with the auto start stop function here below. But what's nice is once you have it off in this car, you don't have to turn it back on. So this specific Cayenne Turbo has 83,591 miles on it, and it's listed on the First International Auto Group site for just above $27,000. And so I would say that this car is in really great shape. Definitely check it out, and the other listings they have on their site. You know, I'm not affiliated with them. I don't work for First International Auto Group. They just kind of let me test out and showcase cars for you all. And, you know, this is another great example of the high quality cars that they sell on their lot. So let's talk about some of the other standard features in this car while we're stuck behind a couple slow pokes. So we have keyless entry and we have keyless start. We just kind of have this little inserted knob that you twist to start the car, so you can leave that key in your pocket. We have this panoramic sunroof, as I said before, paddle shifters. Of course, we have heated and cooled front seats. We have heated seats in the back, providing your rear passengers with plenty of comfort options. We also have blind spot monitoring for all you safety buffs out there. Of course, you know, this Cayenne already has really great visibility. I would say the most compromised we is out that rear windshield, which is obviously because they provided a more slopey design with these second-gen Cayennes. But overall, we have plenty of visibility and blind spot monitoring, which is nice. So even at just about 30 or 40% throttle, you just get so much pickup in this car. You really will never find yourself flooring it, as you would say, because this car just has so much power, so much torque, and honestly really hides its weight really well too. You definitely have to be careful on these little back roads because you're gonna be going a lot faster than you think you are just because of how smooth this thing goes over the roads. So we also have adaptive cruise control in here. You know, you can set your distance to the car in front of you, which is really nice. You basically won't be missing out on any of the modern tech in this car besides maybe like lane follow assist, where, you know, the car is steering itself temporarily for you, especially on the highway where, you know, if you're gonna be grabbing a candy bar on a long road trip, you might want something like that. So we have dual climate control here in the front. Of course, you know, if my girlfriend's getting a little cold, she can set that heat, put her heated seat on, and get really comfortable here in the passenger seat. But one day, you know, if I have other friends back there, or if we have kids and we have this Cayenne, they have their own adjustments too, so everybody can set their own temperatures here in the cabin. As far as gauge clusters, I really like this one. Of course, we have our tachometer here in the front rather than the speedometer. So, you know, you can see that this car revs to about maybe 6,500, and our speedometer goes up to 190. So speaking of speed, the top speed quoted for this Cayenne Turbo, and they say top track speed, is 172 miles an hour. I have never gone that fast in my life, and I definitely won't be testing the Cayenne out for that speed today. But we have a 0 to 60 time quoted at 4.4 seconds, and of course this thing just rips. That Tiptronic transmission, of course, keeps up really well too. It'll downshift you a couple times when you floor it and really get you in the right gear to provide all that torque and horsepower. So we have our Porsche Cayenne Turbo's suspension set up to comfort, so let's see how it handles the worst road in Merrimack, New Hampshire. So it definitely handles the bumps really well. I think the one thing where it gets held back on those really hard big bumps is these 22-inch rims. If I were to have this Cayenne, I definitely would probably opt for like a 19-inch rim, which is actually stock for these Cayenne turbos, and that'll provide you a better ride, especially with, you know, having some more meat on those tires. So putting the car in reverse, we have our right side mirror that kind of contorts and shows you your rear wheel to make sure you don't run over any curbs. And we also have this backup camera, of course being from 2013. It's not the of highest quality, but it gets the job done. So of course in this Cayenne Turbo we have navigation, which isn't really going to do you much nowadays, but obviously still having Bluetooth, you can hook up your phone and, you know, basically get almost the same effect. You won't have the infotainment screen itself to show you your Spotify or your Waze, but I also think online you can buy some aftermarket head units that you can put in and get yourself Apple CarPlay. I think that's a thing that is available for Porsches, especially of this generation. So the Burmeister sound system is, of course, of really high quality. Some people say that it's the best sound system in the game. So if you were to take this Cayenne Turbo on a long road trip, I feel like you'd be very comfortable. We have plenty of room in these front seats. I can spread out my legs and kind of get comfy, especially on these long road trips with the adaptive cruise control. Of course, we have plenty of adjustments to these seats being 18-way, and they have memory settings too, which obviously you can come in, press 1 or 2 and, you know, get the right setting. So comparing this Porsche Cayenne Turbo to some of the other SUVs we've had on the channel, of course we drove that 2018 Audi Q5, which was very well equipped. I would say obviously this thing has a lot more power than that car and, you know, comes at a higher price. However, I feel like although the Q5 is compared to the Macan, I feel like they still kind of have a similar amount of room and practicality. But I think overall this Cayenne is just such a good buy. All right, so to conclude this thrilling, awesome drive of this 2013 Porsche Cayenne Turbo, I will say that I was expecting this thing to, obviously have all of the performance that Porsche promises, and yes, that is true, but I underestimated just how many luxury options are in this car and just how comfortable it is to drive. The air suspension we have, I feel like almost nobody tunes it better than Porsche. Of course, with the 3 maps, you have a setting for everybody between normal, comfort, and sport. Just overall, this Porsche Cayenne Turbo is a blast to drive. Definitely check it out at First International Auto Group here in Merrimack, New Hampshire. Leave your comments below. Please like, please subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.